2005 SEC Basketball Tournament is being brought to Dr. Pepper by your local Toyota dealers, by Advance Auto Parts, by Gatorade, and by Jefferson Pilot Financial.
The SEC semifinals, our finale. Who will punch the ticket to take on the Florida Gators in tomorrow's championship game? Filled to capacity with the big blue faithful at the lower sections of this dome yet again. As we take a look at our Safe Auto Insurance starting lineups, the big baby was certainly big last night in the quarterfinal round against Auburn. Bass, of course, the player of the year. Mitchell, Minor, and Hudson. And look out for Xavier Whipple coming off the bench. He could log more playing time than Minor in this afternoon's game for LSU. For Kentucky, Kalena Azubuike. What a performer he's been, along with Chuck Hayes, two stabilizing forces along that front line. And Randolph Morris, the freshman phenom, with Rajon Rondo and Patrick Sparks, the rest of that starting five. Let's get the latest on what's been heard around the Gatorade cooler. Here's Buzz Baker.
Hey, Tim, thanks a bunch. The thing that has been heard is the difference in this LSU basketball team since that 30-point loss at Rupp-Arena. The following week, Joe Jr. and I had them down at LSU when they beat a good Mississippi State team. They didn't have Winston Frazier, but they got after him. The difference, the guards. At Kentucky, they were 11 of 36 from the field. They're playing much better than that today. Watch the Cats. They want to make it an up-and-down game, Tim, because while Glenn Davis may or may not be a big baby, he's not a big distance guy.
One of the aspects, when you think about it, is Kentucky gets ready, is that I've always felt, Joe, that Glenn Big Baby Davis is a guy that could be a defensive liability, but to John Brady's credit, he's gotten him in and out of the games, and he can defend anyone one-on-one with his quick feet. He's a lot better defensively than people realize.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Very underrated as a defensive player. Big body, quick feet, smart basketball player. You know, he played with Collis Temple's younger brother, and Big Collis, who played at LSU for Dale Brown back in the early 70s, did a lot to help him as a basketball player. John Brady, in his 8th season, going up against Tubby Smith, the Southeastern Conference Coach of the Year, who's won this 5 times in his 7 trips since taking over at Kentucky. Of course, that's the national title to go along with it. And Cat Atlanta is indeed ready. Our officials for this afternoon's game: Tony Green, Tom Lopes, and Pat Adams. One of the great lines this morning, I was talking to Bill Kitely, the longtime equipment manager for Kentucky. Mr. Wildcat, and one of his friends, a Kentucky fan, came in town today, and they said, asked Bill Kitely, said, what section is the Kentucky section? There he is. They said, asked Bill, what section is the Kentucky section? Bill said, every section is the Kentucky section. He is, as they say, been by all of those coaches, dating all the way back to the Baron and then later Joe B. Hall, and throughout the legions of Kentucky fans, he's always been on that sideline, Mr. Wildcat. Big Baby Davis on the baseline to open. It's the side of the backboard. Rajon Rondo navigates through the lane and does draw the foul. Well, that's the thing I talked about in the open, Tim. That's the one thing LSU defensively cannot allow. They can't let Kentucky drive the ball all the way to the lane like this. There's just no excuse for that. And if that happens tonight like Kentucky did yesterday, it's going to be a long day for LSU. Tech Liner is one of those guys, I believe, that will be on a short leash today defensively. If he can pump some energy into the team offensively, then John Brady will go with him. But if he gets out of control at any point in time and allows the game to get more into the flow that Kentucky wants, then Xavier Whipple will see a lot more playing time. One thing about Minor, he's hard to press. Right away, there's a turnover right off the bat. He can beat the press, but in the half court is where he has problems. He has been an issue for this team. Davis pulls down the rebound. Again, they put the pressure on Tap Minor. Rondo picking him up. Rondo's so deceptive defensively with those long arms. Leads the SEC in steals.
Mitchell goes reversal. Oh, a crier that just would not fall. And the foul against Randolph Morris.
Well, here's the issue for LSU. John Brady all season has tried to teach his team how to play up-tempo, score more points, use their athleticism, and run. They don't want to stop doing that today, but on the other end, they've got to stop Kentucky from running, getting to the lane, and getting offensive putbacks, minimize those cheap opportunities for the Wildcats. That's how they beat you.
Let's face it, there are some teams that can play their system throughout. North Carolina falls into that category. Duke, I believe Wake Forest, Kentucky. When you're a team like an LSU, at times in matchups, you've got to make an adjustment.
I would agree with you.
You're not as deep as Kentucky.
I would agree with that, but I still say you've got to look for early offensive opportunities in a possession, especially if you're going to play Tag Miner because he's so fast getting the ball down the floor.
Pass comes away with a steal off the errant pass. Miner, again, taking it in very deep, does get the contact and a whistle.
See, that's the thing about Tack Miner. You know, yes, he makes mistakes, but this young man is strong, physical, and very tough to defend. Watch the spin move right there. Draws the reach in from Hayes. Rondo, who's a great defender, struggling to handle Miner early here. But I agree with you, Tim. Xavier Whipple has been a key element for the LSU team, bringing stability off the bench. Played well last night against Auburn, and it just depends on how the game's going as to whether or not he is the more effective point guard. There he is, young man from the state of Georgia.
LSU leads by 2. Kentucky looking for their first field goal. Hayes, who picked up that foul a moment ago, works over Davis. Pass the rebound.
So far, LSU doing a good job on the defensive backboards. That's a big, big key today. Keep Kentucky off the offensive glass where they are so good.
Hudson with the dump down to Brandon Bass. He's doubled immediately, and now they back off. Well, Sparks with that deflection, getting inside the passing lane to procure the turnover. Sparks from downtown.
He's incredible. Quick release, Patrick Sparks. And when he goes off the ball screen, if you don't step out and hedge on him early, he's going to pull up and knock those shots down.
Hudson pops out. Azubuike checking him. Forces him into a fadeaway, not the shot he wanted. Hudson, much more of a catch and shoot guy than the type of player that would beat you off the bounce. Rondo leaves it for Azubuike. 4-3. Pass with a nice block out. Miner again motoring. That's the shot Hudson wants.
Yes. And again, Tag Miner made the play. Gets it down as quick as any guard in the league to the lane. Kick out, which he's improved on to Hudson, and we've already talked about what a great shooter Hudson is in this building from three-point range.
58.6% in the Georgia Dome in Hudson's career.
Incredible.
Morris, his pass on his hip. No double. Halfway down the cylinder and out. Third rebound for the SEC Player of the Year. Miner, stop and go. High arching out the window, out of bounds. It belongs to LSU.
Now, see, that's the decision maker. The play before, he kicked it out to Hudson, who played a little string music, Timmy, in the Georgia Dome. Let's get it in early.
Hey, I must tell you, in the opening moments of this game, LSU has taken the Big Blue Faithful out of the building.
Yeah, you see the field goals right there. LSU early on, what's the turnover there, but rebounding well.
This gets them involved.
What you can't allow right there.
That gets the fan base involved right there. Hudson again. X marks the spot. Get out of town. He is hitting him from out of town.
The Atlanta Hawks need to draft him and play their games in this building. That's my recommendation.
Well, that's one of the reasons you stick around for your senior year, so you can become familiar with the rims, right?
Exactly.
Morris.
Well, I like him, Tim. He has improved so much. Young man from right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Randolph Morris is going to be a big force for the Kentucky Wildcats in the NCAA tournament and in his future.
Mitchell with the pop out. Sparks looking for a deflection. Did not get it. Begging Tom Lopes. Patrick Sparks still begging Tom Lopes for the call. Early on, the Big Blues streaking, but LSU hitting the threes. Presented by Chevrolet, the new Chevrolets and American Revolution. And Antonio Hudson lighting it up and moving up in this category.
Well, he runs down the floor and spots up on the left side and just waits for Minor to penetrate and kick it to him. He's made 2 already in the game last night with 17 first half points, 21, I think, in the overall win over Auburn. But senior from Grambling, Louisiana, Tim, is just amazing in this building here.
All John Brady ever really asked of Antonio was some consistency. Well, he's been consistent here.
I would say.
Minor lost it. Rajon Rondo comes away with it. Leaves it for Sparks. Beautiful feed. Beautiful feed by Rondo.
Yeah, you drive it toward the lane and then run a curl behind the dribbler. That's what Sparks did to open himself up. Rondo with a nice pass.
And another turnover by Minor. Really an unforced turnover, too. Mitchell on the wing. He, too, can light it up from downtown. And if he gets going along with Hudson...
Yeah, they're tough.
It's interesting. They very rarely get hot in the same game. If you look at the numbers throughout the course of the season.
They were last night. You know, they've got to balance, LSU's got to balance their inside game with their perimeter shooting. Already today, mostly shooting from the perimeter, have not gotten the ball inside very much to Bassett Davis.
Sparks running the curl, leaves it for Perry just into the game off the timeout.
Kentucky using that bench already with 3 guys off the bench.
Davis bailed him out. Picked up a foul with 5 on the shot clock.
That's off to him for that.
Watch Sparks curl behind him. See how he curled behind him? That opened him up. His man was in the lane trying to help on the dribble. And the wide open look. Great pass and smart.
That's slap.
Whipple have come into the game for LSU. Rondo leaves. And Ramel Bradley is checked in for Kentucky, number 3. Łukasz Orbzuk, the big 7-footer from Poland, is on the floor as well. Azubuike off the back iron. Brandon pass halfway to double-figure rebounds. Alley-ooping for Mitchell, not a good idea. That just gets Kentucky on a fast break. Azubuike follows.
You're right. When you make mistakes on the offensive end, turn the ball over, or make bad passes, it just leads to run-out opportunities for Kentucky. That's where they're so good. And again, Azubuike making the play.
Defensive pressure picks up, and the crowd's decibel level does the same. LSU without a basket in the last 2.5 minutes. Bass doubled, and he's fouled by Sparks.
But I like going to Bass. There's no way Orbzuk can handle him one-on-one.
Now for Kentucky, as does Joe Crawford. It's like being at the Continental Trailways bus stop.
Right.
I mean, the horn keeps on going off because Kentucky goes deep into that bench.
They do. They'll play 10, 11, sometimes 12 guys, Tim. Very effective off the bench. That's where they've been strong this year.
There's the dump down to Bass.
Kentucky, you can see, going to double team him at every opportunity.
Morris comes down with a rebound. There's the dump down to Orbzuk. Bradley on the penetration, leaves it for Crawford. Crawford, nice move, very powerful. Kentucky by 6.
Well, Crawford's a high school All-American out of Detroit, Michigan, and you saw a move right there that it shows the kind of talent he has. Has struggled as a freshman, though, but very good potential for Crawford.
Meltner, he's got that distance. Too strong off the back iron. Bradley leaving it up to Crawford. LSU needs to maintain contact. Kentucky can score in waves. They can hit you with a 15-point run. Right now it's at 9-0. They can run you out of the building in a hurry. Waldrop with 10 on the shot clock. Rejected by Melton.
Numbers for LSU.
Mitchell, a pull-up.
Nice defense by Antonio Hudson there. The fast break for LSU.
3 for Mitchell, and that ended a 3-minute drought for the Tigers. Mitchell, nice defensive work. He had position and draws the player control foul from Robbie Moss.
Well, the area of the LSU's game that John Brady has improved his team is the defensive end. Just a good little setup defensively by Darryl Mitchell. John Brady likes it. His team early in the year was struggling on the defensive end. Once they got into conference play, tightened it up and really improved down the stretch, having won their last 7 games in the league.
Xavier Whipple operating at the point. You'll notice how he feeds and fans the post at the point. That's what Brady loves about him.
Kentucky looking to double team Bass and Davis and get the turnover.
A read pass, and Bradley almost made him pay. Good defensive work by Mitchell. And now the foul from the back. Glenn Davis getting down the floor. The guilty party. Timeout. 11:34 remaining. Davis has 2, and Kentucky leads by 4.
If you get ready for an auto parts store unlike...
So you stay tuned. There he is. I'm hoping that Barry Booker hasn't coached him up.
Now, wait a second now. Barry's a shooting machine.
I think he hit one from half court.
Barry did?
Yesterday, yeah. Well, the cameras weren't rolling. They seldom are. Whenever he tells me
easy to shoot when there's no pressure, you know?
LSU's committed 6 turnovers, all steals by Kentucky. Bradley comes up dry at the free throw line. I'll tell scoreboard we'll take a look at in just a few moments. One of the scores that we will be no doubt showing you. At the free throw line. There you see Georgia Tech leading North Carolina late in the second half. Georgia Tech over North Carolina. That would be a big seeding game for Georgia Tech if they were to win. Meltner in traffic.
Great job by Morris staying on the floor there.
Sparks. Davis pulls down the rebound.
Give credit to Whipple, who challenged Sparks on that shot, forced him inside the line.
Hudson.
Come on now, Antonio. I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
Absolutely automatic from that spot on the floor.
And Whipple and Miner and Mitchell need to be looking for him at every opportunity, especially in transition.
I talked to Xavier Whipple before the game. Morris comes up.
80 today.
Rebound. Whipple told me, oh yeah, I'm aware he's 16 for 24 from downtown in this building.
And Chuck Hayes has not been a factor today so far for Kentucky. Give credit to Big Baby and to Brandon Bass.
Meltner with the putback opportunity. Does not fall. Rondo working on Whipple. Gives it up to Sparks. Loose ball. Mitchell beats Sparks to it. He didn't get it. And it will be out of bounds to Kentucky.
Well, Antonio Hudson has just been unbelievable. Miners set him up there. That's first of 3 3-point shots. Look how deep that shot was. I mean, he feels it. He loves this building for some reason. Antonio Hudson doing a great job.
And as we come back to live action, a nice move to the hoop by Rondo.
The chance is so many guys you want to get the basketball to, and Jack knows it. He's got and let them come down and make one just the next, because almost guarantee you they get it. Well, you know, they get the offensive rebound. Watch it, pushes on the basketball, takes it, took that clock. The chance to tie.
He makes more plays than Xavier Whipple, and that's why he has to play, and they're trying to get him involved in the game. Morris with the putback. But again, if you're committed, Joe, to a slower-paced game,
right,
then Xavier Whipple's got to be your guy.
Absolutely, but I don't think LSU is committed. They're going to push the ball off missed shots and turnovers, try to use their athleticism. They're a fast team to get some easy baskets.
Hudson.
That's incredible.
I mean, his eyes are absolutely wide open.
Yeah.
You can almost see them from where we are from midcourt. I mean, he just can't wait to launch the shot. And as he runs down the rebound.
Not only was he far out, but as a book, he was all over him. I mean, he's just unconscious. I can't get over this.
Just under 9 minutes remaining in the opening half. Kentucky by 3. And Hudson has shot LSU into this game. Without him, it would be a blowout. He's 4 for 4. Davis puts it on the floor and powers it up.
That's what he can do, Tim, that a lot of people don't realize is put it on the floor with that big body and drive it to the goal. Very, very versatile.
Rondo going reversal. Bass rejects him. And Hudson clears it for LSU.
Well, Bass has not scored, I don't believe, in the game, but he has rebounded and blocked shots on the defensive end and kept LSU in it because he's kept Chuck Hayes away from the offensive board.
Hudson off the curl.
He's human.
Davis takes it away from Robbie Moss. Minor in the lane. Again, too deep, but Hudson bails him out.
Yeah, lucky there. Tack gets in the lane. He's got to make better decisions as to where he throws the basketball.
LSU 21-20. 7-0 run for them. There's the dump down. Morris reading it for Rondo.
You can play halfway on Rondo. Not a great shooter.
Well, they got the triangle they wanted.
And the foul.
Yep. Bass and Davis. Boy, it's very difficult to block them out. Timeout. 7:25 remaining in the opening half. The big baby can beat you when he puts it on the deck. Rim view of the 2005 SEC tournament is courtesy of Kia. And there's the view we get right now. I believe Antonio Hudson could take a panoramic shot of any position on the floor and say, you know what, that's the one I want. I think I'll shoot from there.
How does that thing do that?
Now, he's nodding in agreement.
Oh, okay. I love that thing. Look at him. All right.
Tim Brando, Joe Dean Jr., Dave Buzz Baker roaming the sidelines for us.
He moved.
And I believe Mitchell moved,
yep.
And that's turnover.
He sure did. What a tough break. You can't run the baseline in that situation. And Mitchell, just a mental breakdown, mental mistake right there for LSU.
8 turnovers committed by the Tigers.
LSU will zone on the underneath out of bounds.
When you think about it, Joe, the Wildcats really haven't taken much advantage of those turnovers. LSU's half-court defense has been pretty good.
And they've rebounded. That's the key. They've controlled their defensive backboards, kept Hayes off the glass. If they can do that throughout the game, they're going to have a chance here today against an excellent Kentucky team.
Well, that's a credit to the bookends, Davis and Bass. Bradley off the front iron, and Bass claims another one. He already has 6 rebounds. He's headed for a double-double if we can get involved offensively. Kentucky has shut him down on this end of the floor.
Yeah, they've double-teamed him every time he's caught it in the low post. Him and Davis both.
Minor flips it to Mitchell. Good ball movement that time, but Mitchell unable to get his shoulder square. Save to Bass.
Offense, yeah, good call. Good job by Arbjut right there. Held his ground. Bass probably should have just jumped up and banked in a 10-footer as opposed to trying to drive it all the way to the hole. Yeah. John Brady doesn't like that call. You never do on block charges. But watch Arbjut.
It's a good call.
Yeah, nice job. Nice defense right there.
When you jump into the defender, he has the right to that space as much as you do.
Well, the offensive player initiates the contact, and that's where the charge comes.
Kentucky has missed their last 6 field goal tries. Arbjut gets it out to Crawford. Bradley takes it right back up. A rare second chance for Kentucky, and Hudson clears it.
Can't emphasize enough the importance of LSU rebounding on the defensive end to stay in this game, and so far they've done a nice job. Create a little high-low here with Davis and Bass trying to get it inside to Bass.
Nice pass. Mitchell backdoor from Hudson. And you've got to respect Antonio because of what he's been doing this entire tournament.
Yeah, and Davis coming out to the top of the key pulled Orbjute away from the basket and opened up that cut by Daryl Mitchell.
Bradley in traffic. Extra step. And again, the half-court defense for John Brady has been outstanding. We have a final, and
wow, look at that.
Paul Hewitt's team, you don't want any part of them now that Elder is healthy.
Yes.
And North Carolina should still be a #1 seed. Louisville's win, as we mentioned, the kid Washington from Memphis in the Conference USA final was fouled for 3 with no time remaining. He made the first. They're down 2. He missed the next 2 at home in Memphis. That would have cost someone an at-large bid. Memphis needed to win that tournament in order to get into the NCAA.
Poor shot selection there by Big Baby Davis. LSU needs to be a little more patient in the half court. You can't give Kentucky those kind of opportunities.
Over 4 minutes, as you see, for Kentucky without a score. Problems continue. And again, another putback. And Hayes gets it off a beautiful feed by Moss.
Well, Robbie Moss just out-fought his opponent there for the offensive rebound. And when Davis came to help, that left Chuck Hayes wide open. That's the first basket for Chuck Hayes and the Big Blue Nation. There's a few fans here for Kentucky.
And Hayes had to implore them to get involved as he came down to the other end of the floor. Davis trying to leave it for Bass. Poor decision. Oh, Sparks with a nice feed. Yes, and a foul.
Well, Patrick Sparks is underrated as a ball handler and a passer. Watch the simple little bounce pass to Joe Crawford, who gets the contact and gets it in. That's fundamental textbook basketball. Stop at the foul line, two-handed bounce pass for the lay-in. Patrick Sparks leads the Kentucky team in assists with over 110 on the year.
Mitchell got the foul, his first. A little shooter's touch for Crawford, and the lead is up to 2. 6th lead change that we've had here in the opening half.
2-2-1 full court trap. Trying to slow LSU down. LSU needs a basket here. Don't want to let this crowd get going too much.
Miltner, they'll sometimes play high-low with him. And there's Bass right where you want him. A lot of contact. Good defensive work by Kentucky. Hayes. Miltner with Orbjute over the back. And the foul picked up by the young man that towers at 7'1" and is getting better. Should mention that Tubby Smith, his matchups that he'll have from time to time in a game change. He's one of the great field coaches in making adjustments with personnel during the game.
Absolutely, like Joe Crawford today, coming off the bench, hadn't done much this year. Today, playing well, Tubby leaving him in, giving him some confidence.
Bass is still looking for his first field goal, Joe. He's 0 for 1. They've just been unable to get the ball to him. Hudson off the back iron, run down by Sparks.
Sparks is so deceptive. He's just always around the basketball.
You notice that shot by Hudson that he missed was in the corner, Joe. It's when he slides a little further up the baseline.
Right.
That's his location. Hayes.
Good job by Bass, staying on the floor right there. What a matchup, Bass and Hayes.
Mitchell, with 3-on-3, takes it himself. Shot selection very poor there.
Kentucky 3-on-3 here.
Azubuike, he's fouled on the way up.
Kentucky in transition quickly, and LSU not getting back and getting matched up with their men.
That's the second foul on Brandon Bass. So he and Davis each have 2. They'll have to be smart in the remaining 3:10 of the opening half of our second semifinal. Coming up at halftime, we'll have analysis, highlights, stats, and more. All coming up at the break, presented by Alabama Tourism. Gary Booker joining up with Dave Neal, our affable host. He's been with us throughout this entire week of our coverage on Jefferson Pilot Sports. We hope you've enjoyed it. Something that our entire crew always looks forward to. Patrick Sparks leads the tallest member of the Big Blue onto the floor. He's getting his first action. Shagari Aline, sophomore from the Bronx, New York, all 7'3" of him out of Rice High School. This tournament telecast featuring Kentucky is brought to you in part by the Kentucky Farm Bureau. Alana Azubuike at the free throw line. Pass corrals another rebound. 8 players have scored for Kentucky. Only 3 for LSU.
Well, the depth factor for Kentucky could wear LSU down here. LSU finished playing about midnight last night.
Sparks got his hand in there. Xavier Whipple saved it. He's now operating at the point. Tack Minor out of the game. So it's Mitchell Neltner, pass, Antonio Hudson, and Xavier Whipple operating at the point.
Kentucky's gone zone here.
Ball movement so good when Whipple is on the floor.
Yep, you're right, Tim. And Ross Neltner, the Kentucky Mr. Basketball, has really improved himself this year and given John Brady's team valuable minutes off the bench all season.
Azubuike answers.
Glenn Azubuike has just stepped up his game so much the last half of this season to really become the star of this Kentucky team.
With a 3-point shooting story, those 4 for the Tigers all belong to Hudson. It's been a while since he's been able to get to his location to get the proper shot for him to be effective.
Well, he doesn't need to force anything. He is hot. We've talked about it. Daryl Mitchell's the guy that really needs to get going a little bit from the outside for LSU. Very capable 3-point shooter. Of course, Xavier Whipple, the guy who runs the point now. Very steady. Senior.
Brandon Bass checking out of the game. He's 0 for 1 from the floor, but has been a monster on the defensive boards for John Brady's team.
Kentucky out of bounds. Man-to-man now. A little high-low here for LSU.
Leave Neltner wide open. Ross Neltner can bury that. That is the M.O. that young man has. He is a face-up post player.
Yes, he is, and developed his confidence a lot as LSU's made their run in the SEC to become co-champions of the West along with Alabama.
You know, I'm reminded a little bit, Joe, of a popular player that didn't get a lot of playing time in college basketball, Lee Melchione. When I think of Neltner's confidence, it reminds me a bit of the emergence of Melchione.
I would agree.
Hudson off the bounce, fouled by Kentucky. It'll go against Crawford.
That'll put Hudson on the line. That's a 17 foul, 1-and-1 with minute 14 to go. Both teams have played clean defensively, good discipline.
Hudson at the stripe for 1-and-1. Throughout his career, struggled at the line.
Yep.
You know, in talking to him, Joe, you really sense he is HUD, and they are for him. This is a young man that was a member of the All-SEC tournament team his freshman year. So many expectations for him. I mean, there was a lot of talk about his having a huge future. And then when he didn't realize it, I think there were communication issues between he and his coach. And now that he's a senior, he's just claimed his role and doesn't worry about individual stats.
You're exactly right, Tim. And not only is he a great shooter, but he's starting to become a leader. As LSU made their run in the last 6 games of the season, Antonio Hudson was a big factor for the Tigers.
Seniors don't like playing their last game.
No, that's right.
Tigers by 1 with just over a minute remaining. And I believe if you ask John Brady about tempo control, he'd be happy. Job well done.
Yeah, they have managed the game very well. And the key for LSU, they've controlled their defensive backboard.
Sparks from downtown.
Look at that. Pass. Great rebound.
Claims his 9th rebound of the game, and that's the value of the SEC Player of the Year. He's 0 for 1 from the floor, but he still has 9 rebounds.
Exactly.
Whipple leaving it for Mitchell off the high pick from Neltner.
A little weave here for LSU, running ball screens outside, changing their offensive set.
12 to shoot.
Hayes doing a good job defensively on Bass.
Well, and quick double from Sparks. There it is. It wreaks havoc. Out of bounds with 2 on the shot clock.
Again, Chuck Hayes and Bass, neither one of those guys has scored much today, guarding one another.
Well, Coach, what do you do with 2 on the shot clock when you trigger it in?
Throw it up to Bass.
Pop out to Hudson deep, right?
Yep. Oh, my goodness.
What a bailout foul committed by Kentucky. And you rarely see that from a senior like Chuck Hayes. His second foul, too.
Well, he knew in the low post that with 2 seconds, LSU had to try to lob it to Bass inside. So he's trying to fight around him. Yep, you see it. It's a good call. Should have just stayed behind him and taken his chances.
You could see the grimace by Hayes. He knew that was ill-advised.
Looking at Brandon Bass, Tim, the SEC Player of the Year. It's kind of interesting. The SEC Player of the Year in women's basketball this year is also from LSU. Simone Augustus, Brandon Bass and Simone Augustus, the 2 Players of the Year, both from the same high school, Capitol High School in Baton Rouge. That's interesting.
By the way, Davis, only 2 points. Bass finally getting into the column. 32-29, but both have been outstanding on the boards. Davis with 4 rebounds and Bass with 9. Azubuike with the clock winding down. That's a big bucket for Kentucky.
Big play by Azubuike. Whipple got switched off on him. Whipple not as tall. Azubuike at 6'5". Used the size to drive it baseline and get the pull-up over Whipple for a big basket for Kentucky.
Let's go over to Dave Baker.
John, they really tried to make it an up-and-down game, but I thought you guys got it in perspective and did what you needed to do in the half court.
Well, what we got better at as the half went on was we got back in transition and didn't give them any transition baskets. They had 10 or 12 points early on run-outs or our turnovers. Once we settled down a little bit, made it more of a half-court game, it was a little bit to our advantage. Then we went to the zone a little bit and kept them all off track just a little bit. But that was a big shot they just made, and you know, it's just going to be another 20 minutes of good basketball.
Boy, and Brandon playing so hard, not getting a lot of looks on the offensive end, but 9 rebounds for you.
Well, they're doing a nice job of defending him. You know, Tubby Smith's a pretty good coach.
Yes, sir.
He's an idea about how to guard him. So we just got to do a better job getting to Brandon, be a little bit more patient with him, and hopefully he'll get some baskets this half.
You're doing a nice job yourself. Thanks, John. Best of luck second half. That's John Brady. His LSU Tigers lead the Kentucky Wildcats by 1. We're coming back with a Dr. Pepper $1 million shootout right after this.
SEC by Heineken. By Citgo. And by Safe Auto Insurance.
LSU leads it by 1 at the break. Tim Brando along with Joe Dean Jr. and Dave Buzz Baker. Let's take a look at our halftime statistics presented by Sonic Drive-In. 3-point shooting, all but one of those belonging to Antonio Hudson for LSU. The points in the paint, though, all with Kentucky. I think that's probably what John Brady addressed at halftime.
That and the points off turnovers is what he's got to try to minimize. You're not going to completely eliminate it, but again, the defensive rebounding has helped LSU overcome the lack of shooting, only 40% there, but 5 of 11 from 3.
Do you anticipate that we'll see more of Xavier Whipple at the point in this half? Because there were 5 turnovers committed by Tech Minor.
Yeah, and LSU had 11 turnovers in that first half, way too many in this game. I do think Whipple will probably be the key point guard in the second half.
By the way, that doesn't mean Minor wouldn't be in the game. They could move him to the 2 guard.
Absolutely.
And allow Whipple to operate at the point.
And Minor will play some. Again, he's very creative, and he's a guy that can make big plays in transition if LSU gets those opportunities.
All right, Dave Baker with the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats.
Real quick.
Tubby, when you tried to make it an up-and-down game, when they got it in the half court, though, they had some success offensively.
Yeah, they're a very talented team. They're very physical inside. We had some guys trying to do some things that they couldn't do inside, so we got to do a better job of moving the ball, playing unselfish.
All right, thanks, Coach. That's Tubby Smith, Tim.
Movement of the basketball. How many times do you hear coaches talk about that? How you swing it to get the better look, because your pass should be faster than the defensive feet.
Well, coaches talk a lot about player movement and coaches in ball movement. Players moving offensively to create defensive mismatches, as you see the scores there, Hudson, and also the ball movement, penetrating, kicking out for the open shots.
Kentucky being led by Azubuike, Sparks, Crawford, and Rondo. You know, the inability for Kentucky to do as much with those turnovers as perhaps they could allowed LSU to get back in the game. I mean, they did get 18 points that way, but it could have been worse early on for LSU.
First 5 minutes, coaches talk about it. Always the key to setting the tone for the stretch run in the second half. We'll see who gets the better of at the first media timeout.
This event has been a Kentucky block party since Tubby Smith came over and became the head coach, and LSU is trying to spoil it today. It is Minor operating at the point to open the second half. Same starting fives for both teams.
I like Minor exploring on the dribble in transition to see what's available, but good decision to pull it out and run offense.
Minor with the dump down to the big baby, and Davis in traffic has it slapped away. Morris got a hand on that one. His second block. Minor, the kind of explosion that you want from Zach Minor. That's what he delivered.
Yep, he can make big plays. Now he'll make mistakes as well, as we've talked. But if he's on, he can really help LSU's effort.
That could be a real confidence boost for him right there, just getting one to fall. Rondo swinging it around the perimeter to Azubuike. Morris works in on Davis. Remember, Davis has 2, as does Bass. They're going to try to work on those guys, I'm sure. Morris turns it over.
Yeah, you see the speed of Zach Minor. Uses the goal against the shot-blocking Randolph Morris. That was the protection that got the ball in the basket.
Bass, his first field goal. Mark it down. 1 minute and 32 into this second half. He gets his first field goal of the game. 1 minute and 28 into this second half.
Interesting, Hudson's playing back off of Azubuike a little bit, challenging him to shoot the 3. Timeout. Tubby's upset.
Yes, he is.
Tubby is really upset with his team. Look at this. He came all the way to the foul line, Tim, on that timeout.
He will definitely get their attention. He is old school when it comes to that. We'll be back. 12 teams in search of a conference tournament championship and an automatic bid to the NCAAs. And LSU with a 5-point lead. The second seed out of the West against top-seeded Kentucky from the East. And after that shock treatment timeout taken by Tubby Smith, 5 for 5 was substituted for. Orbsuit, Perry, Crawford, Moss, and Bradley enter the game. And the Kentucky players on the floor are 3 for 8 overall in today's game.
Now, he's done this before. This is not the first time we've seen this by Tubby Smith during the course of the season. LSU, John Brady comes out in his zone just to kind of give him a different look.
Crawford with 3 on the shot clock. The fans also respond when this takes place.
Joe Hall used to call it the old Firehouse 5. Put 5 new guys to bring fire to the team. Joe Crawford is playing well off the bench for Kentucky today, the freshman.
And it's one of those aspects, Joe, that I think a lot of people overlook in coaching. And we touched on it. David Hobbs said he's a field coach, you know, that he's been with Tubby for a long time. He has a better feel for the game than just about anybody he knows. That's a tall statement. Now you see those guys that were just taken out of the game standing out of respect for what their replacements are doing for them.
Well, I think they better stand and applaud because their head coach is watching them over there to see how they're reacting.
Crawford again.
And a foul.
Hudson could be a 4-point play. A little fire and brimstone.
Yeah, we talked about Joe Crawford. He was a parade All-American out of Detroit, Michigan, Renaissance High School. Wanted to leave the Kentucky team at Christmas time. You see the 3, the foul there by Hudson. Had a good talk with Tubby Smith. They let him come back on the team in mid-January, and today in the SEC semifinals, Joe Crawford coming into his own a little bit, Tim.
Toughness, that's what Tubby Smith requires, and here comes the crowd.
Like a road game for LSU.
Another steal. That's their 8th of the afternoon. Well, John Brady knows it. He understands that the first emotional salvo has been thrown by King Tubby and his tournament. And they really do believe this is their tournament. There is absolutely no doubt the pressure to win this tournament is greater on Kentucky players and the Kentucky coach than perhaps any other conference tournament in the country.
Well, that's because of the great support of the fans. I mean, you have 15,000 to 18,000 Kentuckians who come to Atlanta, take vacation time, spend a lot of money. The Kentucky coaches and players understand what it means to those people, and they're going to give a little bit extra effort here.
Orbzut picked up that foul, his second. Kentucky last led 26-25 with 2:30 remaining in the first half. We're tied right now. Hudson loses it to Crawford, who blocked out well. Bradley for Orbzut, rejected by Davis. Here's Minor on a run out. A one-man fast break. The tip won't go, and Bradley brings it down.
Man, what a play right there on both ends. Minor got it to the goal a little out of control, but Brandon Bass, what speed to get down and try to tip that ball in. Break for Kentucky there.
He did everything but finish, did Bass. As a big man, can he run the floor though? Crawford pulls up.
Crawford's taking over the game.
Chuck Hayes is enjoying it. The all-SEC performer and leader of this team. Taken what was a 5-point deficit and turned it into a 2-point lead. This new band of Wildcats that came on the floor. Mitchell with a three. Oh, the iron unkind at just the wrong time for LSU. Crawford off the bounce. Attack out by Moss. Robbie Moss with an athletic play.
That's his 3rd offensive rebound of the game. Hudson didn't block him out and get the defensive board we've talked about as being so important to LSU.
Crawford has 9 for Kentucky. Foul spotted as Minor was making his move, trying to defend that time. Ramel Bradley, that's the 3rd on tack. Timeout. The Cats making a move on that different breed of cats here in Atlanta.
They tried to trap there. Pretty tough to trap a guy coming across midcourt when it's not at the corners.
Spots up and knocks down the 3. Great vision by the Kentucky players who always, as you look at Joe Crawford, who has 14 points and has been the story of this second half. 9-2 run for the Cats.
Since subbing 5 for 5, that emotional move by Tuffy Smith. All 9 of those points, by the way, scored by Crawford. Perry. On the timeout, Bradley on the floor with Orbzut setting the pick. Bradley rejected by Davis. That's 2 in a row for him. Retrieved. Nice dish by Moss. They leave it for Perry on the wing. Bobby Perry, sophomore from Durham, North Carolina. His first deuce. Kentucky by 4.
This group has really done a tremendous job, and have they gotten the crowd into it. LSU needs a basket here to get this crowd to sit down.
Bass and Davis need a touch.
Yes, they do. I agree. I was thinking the same thing.
Hudson. That's a foul. And it comes at a very difficult time for Kentucky. It was inside the arc, so it will just be a 2-shot free throw. John Brady talking to Tack Minor, who, by the way, just picked up his 2nd foul a few moments ago. Trying to give some encouragement to Tack.
Yeah, and that was a good shot there, Tim, because I think that's one of the things that John Brady has been very successful with in this run in the SEC is his patience with Tack Minor. He knows he's got an emotional young man who's explosive and talented, and he's been patient with him, brought him along, let him make some mistakes, but also let him make big plays for his team as well.
That was Hudson's first field goal opportunity in this second half after having a tremendous first. 16 points for him. And as we suggested to you earlier, Although he made 2 earlier free throws, he has long since struggled at the free throw line, only 65%. Gets one of the 2. All scoreboard, North Carolina State playing so well over in the ACC tournament. Wisconsin with the lead at halftime against Iowa. Perry over Davis. Nice move. He went reversal on the big baby.
Yeah, big baby's got quick feet, Tim, but Perry's just quicker. Perry's like a big guard, small forward against the big, heavy post player, and the quickness won out right there.
On the overplay by Moss. Mitchell able to retrieve it, forced it somewhat. Davis in traffic. Oh, is he alone?
He was so strong. Mitchell tried to force the play. LSU needs to settle down and let their offense take care of the shots, but Glenn Davis powerful around the basket.
LSU's first field goal in 4 minutes. They're down by 3. Which to some extent speaks well of their defense.
It really does.
Again, trying to do too much that time. Bobby Smith a little angry. Didn't like that call. He's letting Pat Adams know about it.
Glenn Davis with the quick feet at 310 pounds. Good help there by Hudson. Let's watch it. Good job. Stepped in, took the contact, offensive foul. Tubby doesn't like it. Those calls are always so close. Bang, bang can go either way.
The hardest call in the game is the block charge.
And they usually, Tim, balance themselves out over the course of a game.
There's Hudson off the bounce this time, fading away. Again, if it's a catch and shoot, Antonio Hudson is much better. Long rebound, Orbzu keeps it alive. There's the feed, Moss to Crawford. Rejected again by Davis.
Numbers.
Miner has a trailer, gives it to him, but Moss knocks it away and commits the foul. And that'll be 3.
Well, the block by Glenn Davis. There's the lob. Set that up. Good hustle right there by Ravi Moss to eliminate the potential lob dunk. Moss with a hustle play. Going to force Bass to go to the line and make these 2 foul shots.
The announcers for today's game are selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. The ovation you heard was obviously for the play of Crawford as he goes to the bench.
And you say, well, why do you take Crawford out, who's already got 14 points and sparks you in the second half? He hasn't played a lot this year. He's probably not in as good a condition as the other guys and just simply is tired.
Now Hayes and Sparks come back on the floor. Job well done for the replacements as they had that outstanding 9-2 run to give Kentucky the lead.
This is a questionable out-of-bounds call right there. They said Bass wasn't shooting on that dunk. I don't know how that could be.
Yeah. Xavier Whipple back on the floor for LSU. The dump down to Bass. Right away, when Whipple is on the floor, the ball goes to a big man.
That's a great point. Bass has not had a lot of touches today. Hayes has done an excellent job on him, but Whipple so steady running the point for LSU.
I'll tell you, there are no self-esteem issues with Xavier Whipple. Sparks. That's inside the arc. It's a 2.
Yeah, great job there by Ramel Bradley setting the screen to open up Sparks. LSU usually switches those. Didn't do it that time. Sparks got the wide open look.
Mitchell off the curl. The three-pointer is weak.
Yeah, Mitchell's forcing a little bit here.
Xavier Whipple from McIntyre, Georgia, played at Wilkinson County High School. Really a coach's dream when you consider what they ask of him, and he always delivered. Bass off the front rim.
Shot selection not been good for LSU the last 2 trips. Good defense by Chuck Hayes. He has really hounded Brandon Bass in the lane all day.
Bass has only launched 7 shots today, hitting 3 of them. Hayes, good defensive work by Bass. Whipple the outlet. There's Hudson on the run out. Kentucky by 1. 19 in the game. Hudson.
And LSU continues to do a good job defensively inside against Perry and Randolph Morris, who hasn't played much this half, and Chuck Hayes.
Ramel Bradley for three. Neltner fighting for it with Perry, and he pulls it away. I don't see any signs of fatigue from LSU.
I don't either. They still have good legs. 10 minutes to go in the game. Game is right where they want it to be.
Hayes on the overplay lost it, and it was tipped away by Sparks. Out of bounds to LSU. 10:23 remaining. Who will punch the ticket to take on Florida in the SEC Championship? We'll soon find out. Presented by Chevrolet. You look at block leaders, and there are some awfully good ones that have played in this conference and tournament games. Chuck Davis leading the way, but Glenn Big Baby Davis not on the list, but soon to get there. The Southeastern Conference's Freshman of the Year. A pair of big ones through the course of this day. And doing the job on the glass as well, along with Brandon Bass. They've been able to get the job done and lead Kentucky by 4 in the rebounding category.
Well, it's amazing. LSU only trails by 1 point with Bass and Davis not having big scoring days. Just shows you what a good job LSU's done defensively and rebounding. They lead on the boards 28-24 right now.
Meanwhile, Robbie Moss is having a career day on the glass as a rebounder at guard. Minor comes up empty from way downtown. John Rondo operating at the point now for Kentucky. As Sparks, Hayes, Morris, and Azubuike on the floor with him. Hayes really wants it. There's the entry. Working on pass baseline. Nice move. He just willed that one through. You could see it coming, but you simply couldn't stop it.
Yeah, he was so deep, LSU really couldn't get to him to double him, and he made the nice spin move and just used the basket to get it up and in over Bass.
4 points for Hayes today. Had an indifferent game. You know that his best is yet to come. There's a nice look inside the net. Going reversal, he draws the foul. Good pass by Mitchell.
Yeah, LSU got out of sorts before the media timeout offensively. Took some bad shots. John Brady got him settled down at the timeout. Last 2 possessions have looked to get the ball inside to Bass, and that time ran a little screen on the baseline and a 2-man game to get Nelter that look at the goal.
Third foul against Randolph Morris. Antonio Hudson looks to come in as Nelter's at the line. He and Davis come on the floor. Mitchell and Brandon Bass will get a blow.
Well, you know this game has got to mean a lot to Ross Neltner, the young man at the foul line. I mean, he's a kid that was Kentucky's Mr. Basketball. Grew up in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, which is about an hour north of Lexington. Highlands High School there. A lot of emotion for him in a game like this.
Remember that story I told you about his dad being in Manhattan on a business trip when he tipped it in against Arkansas? I saw his father last night. We talked about it. He said, well, you got most of it right. I bought the house drinks after that tip. Rondo takes it right to the window. $50 to 47. Minor. Those reversal. It was as if Tech Minor had made up his mind after Rondo got the bucket that I was going to get it on the other end the moment he touched it. Inside, Neltner will pick up the foul as Morris got it down low. First foul on Neltner. Conference tournament weekend winding down. Semifinals of the ACC as you look at our Infinity scoreboard. Duke by 1 late in the first half. You know, Duke is one of those teams, Joe, as you see some of the other scores. And I believe a loss by them probably wouldn't hurt. You're down to 6 scholarship players. They lack depth, no question. And some have argued that they have a chance as a #1 seed if they win that tournament. I don't believe that. And I think they could actually use the rest.
Well, you know, there's 2 ways to look at that, but you can't argue. I mean, and obviously if you lose, that's the way you look at it.
Absolutely.
You know, hey, we get more rest, an extra day, et cetera, et cetera. But the ACC tournament is such a special event. Everybody wants to win that.
Yeah, and the major difference with that tournament because it was the first ever of conference tournaments.
Yep.
Its champion, its overall champion, comes from the tournament, and that's not necessarily recognized, in fact isn't in any other place. Chuck Hayes picked up a very cheap third foul there. And they only fly the banner of champions if you win the tournament.
Right, exactly.
In that league. 51-49 Kentucky.
Miner and Whipple in the game together. 2 point guards for LSU. We'll see if that helps the ball handling. Mitchell taking a breather on the bench.
Miner, his quickness, really a problem. Rondo picking up the foul.
They put so much pressure. He and Rondo, both players in transition, are always exploring and trying to get it to the lane, putting pressure on each other.
And again, Joe, I really like what John Brady's doing here. He's keeping the confidence of Miner up, but he's not having to necessarily shoulder the responsibility of running the team. He's got Xavier Whipple on the floor with him.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Tim. And missed front end of the 1-and-1 there by Miner. Big point. LSU is in the bonus with 8 minutes to go. Kentucky will not be in it for a while. LSU only has 3 team fouls. Foul shooting for LSU could be the key here down the stretch.
Well, they have been a better free throw shooting team this year, one of the best in the conference. Whipple gets the foul.
Actually, the best in the conference. 4th team foul there on LSU. If you'd have told John Brady with 8 minutes to go he would be down 2 in this game, he would have taken that. He just wants his team to hang around. Kentucky, you know, you're not going to blow out Kentucky, obviously. So if you have a chance in the last 5 minutes, that's all you want.
Hayes going back door, but he can't put it down. Rondo's pass led him a bit too far. Here's Miner. And he rattles it home to tie the game at 51.
See, I wouldn't call that a good selection of a shot there, but he's so talented, he can make the play.
It's a very sensitive balance, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
John Brady has with that young man.
And you got to just kind of decide what's best.
Azubuike over Hudson. 13 for Kalina.
He was the star in the Tennessee win last night. Has developed his three-point shooting and gets the crowd into the game.
Yeah, it's as if it's my party, but I'm not going to cry if you give me your best effort. Kentucky's fans trying to will their team to dominate. And LSU to this point just will have none of it. Miner all the way to the goal. Loose ball, Miltner comes out of there with it. Hudson on the wing. Davis and Hayes fight for it. Loose ball to Sparks. He has Rondo with him. Gives it to him late. Count it, and a foul. Well, think about that bucket Miner made, a quick shot. It was fool's gold, wasn't it? Then they got into an up-and-down game. Oh, a little show and go from Sparks, and Kentucky leads. The best of the conference is presented by Chevrolet. As you look at the kings of grand larceny, and Chuck Hayes averaging 4. I mean, that's an amazing run for him. And he's been a difference maker in the last few minutes of this game. We go back, though, and talking with you before the game and what it meant for LSU to get the kind of tempo control they want at times. In fact, for the most part, they've had it. But the moments they've allowed it to slip away, Azubuike hits his shots. Hudson's missed his last 3 trays. And that really becomes the difference in the game, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you've got your big-time shooters down the stretch. Kalina makes his shot. Antonio misses, and right now that's basically the difference in the game.
Rajon Rondo at the free throw line. Now that's a bonus, and he makes his.
This is a critical possession right here for LSU. Down by 6 points inside of 7 minutes. Can't let Kentucky get away from them.
This matches the largest lead held by Kentucky in today's game. Davis wants it. Spins on Morris. What a strong move. He collects the foul. Did not finish, but does get Morris's 4th.
It's just amazing how quick he is to be as big as he is. That's why they call him Big Baby. Watch the spin to the baseline right around. That's just a big-time move. Probably should have made that shot, Tim. Glenn Big Baby Davis, freshman of the year in the SEC, and of course, played on the LSU campus. University High School is the lab school for Louisiana State University.
All those free throw problems continue to be an issue for LSU as a team. They've missed a couple of front ends of 1-and-1s. They have had 10 for 14 overall. Think about that 1-and-1 that was missed earlier by Minor. That was huge. He does get one of the two, and it's 57-52. Bass, Minor, Davis, Hudson, and Mitchell on the floor for LSU. Orbzuk, Sparks, Hayes, Azubuike, and Rondo for Kentucky. Sparks off the pick from Orbzuk. Beautiful pick by the 7-footer from Poland that enabled that shot to fall, and now it's a critical time for the Tigers. Bass wants it, gets it past Hayes, and he's fouled by Chuck.
Good job of isolating on the weak side there by Daryl Mitchell to get it to Brandon Bass. He forces Chuck Hayes into a foul, his 4th foul of the ball game. Look at the openness. Glenn Davis late getting out there. Patrick Sparks, you give him daylight, he's going to play string music on you all day.
Brandon Bass gets to the free throw line as Hayes, along with Morris now, saddled with fouls. And again, you have to credit the presence of Bass and Davis getting the front line of Kentucky into foul differential.
No question about it. They're a load, those two guys. And they've had a good ball game this afternoon. They've really done a good job of keeping Hayes off the offensive glass. I think it's been one of the keys for LSU hanging in this game.
Sure, you concentrate so much on that assignment defensively, it takes away from your offense from time to time. Neither Bass or Davis have been stellar on the offensive end. Bass, now with his 18th career double-double, his 11th this season, 10 points, 10 boards. Kentucky by 6. Florida won earlier today against Alabama. They await the winner in tomorrow's championship game. Rondo working on Minor.
Travel.
Yep.
Good job. Good defense by Tag Minor. Rondo's so quick, but Tag Minor is not only quick, but he's strong physically. He's like a defensive back. Great upper body strength.
When you take a look at the Infinity scoreboard, North Carolina State is up their lead, and there's some other scores for you. High lob to Bass. Again, always attracting attention. There's the double team. Lost it. Deflected off of Kentucky. It'll be LSU's underneath their own hoop with 15 on the shot clock.
Bobby Perry cannot handle Brandon Bass in the low post, but a nice job by Rondo getting down there to double team Bass and forcing almost a turnover.
Not at all the 31-point blowout back in January.
Well, you knew that wasn't going to happen in either semifinal. It's kind of interesting. Both semifinals, the teams had 31-point games in their previous meeting.
Hudson gets the inbound.
Rondo's all over the floor.
Minor on the dribble drive. Davis on the glass. Big Baby converts and one. And Bass congratulates him.
Well, that's just huge for the LSU Tigers. Maybe a charge there. No call. Bass. Glenn Davis fighting the glass, getting it in, drawing the foul. When you penetrate, offensive opportunities are there, and Glenn Big Baby Davis is a load inside.
I think you can credit Tag Minor's penetration, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, Tubby Smith would have probably liked to have seen the charge, and again, unfortunately for the Tigers, the free throw shooting woes continue, and as you mentioned, Joe, they've been in the bonus for about the last 7 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, Minor missed the front end of the 1-and-1, and Davis has missed 2 here in the last couple of minutes.
Azubuike off the curl. Davis the rebound. He has 8. He's 2 rebounds shy of 10, 3 points away from 10. He too could have a double-double today.
LSU will look for their high-low action with Davis and Bass.
He wants it. Orbzut's with him. He's too quick. He goes to the jump hook. Pass. Well, what a load on the glass is Brandon Bass.
We said Kentucky had to control the paint today against LSU, but not the case. Glenn Davis, Brandon Bass, too big, too strong, and quick around the goal.
My friend and yours, Larry King, called them the BB Kings of the baseline, and they're playing like it right now. Azubuike makes the adjustment in midair. Beautiful play by Kalena, and the junior from Victory Christian in Tulsa, Oklahoma, has been the most consistent cat.
He is so good, Tim. You can just see him oozing with confidence now in his junior season.
He leads the team with 15. Pass with Perry again, one-on-one. He'll win that every time.
He's become a great face-up shooter. He turns faces, gets your guy in a defensive position, and rises right up over him with that 6'8" frame. And he's a fine perimeter shooter and a good foul shooter as well as Brandon Bass.
He has 12 points this half, Joe. And when you're the player of the year and you become a leader, you can see the fire at winning time. With better than 3 minutes, it's just that. And Sparks lights it up from downtown. Kentucky's party needs to continue for their fan base. And the Party Crashers from Baton Rouge will take a timeout. 3 to play for the final piece to the SEC title puzzle. Well, today we visited the SEC Fanfare and stopped by the Pontiac G6 display with the help of the Kentucky Wildcat cheerleaders. There was plenty to cheer about, too, as fans gathered to see the exciting first-ever Pontiac G6. Can you believe the size of the panoramic roof on that Pontiac G6? Recognized as national champions, the Wildcat cheerleading squad was awarded $5,000 by Pontiac. Rumor has it you know some of the cheerleaders.
Well, I do. Kelly Dupree's right there. You see her. She's a friend of our family from Birmingham, Alabama. Wonderful young lady.
They know pyramids.
Yes, they do.
Those, by the way, would be awesomes. When a cheerleader holds up another cheerleader with one arm, that's an awesome.
I would agree with that. You and I couldn't do that.
That's what they call that move.
I couldn't do that with 3 hands.
See, I've picked up on the glossary of that sport through the years. Boy, what a fantastic second semifinal game it's been.
It's been outstanding. 2 teams going toe-to-toe. LSU has not backed down. They've not been intimidated by this Kentucky team, but Kentucky just so tough, Tim, on both ends of the floor. When Patrick Sparks, you see right there, knocks down those threes, they're tough.
Well, let me say this to you, Joe. Regardless of the outcome of this game, LSU's finding out a lot about itself before they go into the NCAA tournament. And with 7 straight wins coming in, as you look at our game note and those close games that have been played in the past, the reality is, even in their own neighborhood, LSU's not been respected to the extent they should be. Hudson goes reversal.
And they're not going away, Tim. They may not be respected in their own neighborhood. Not a lot of LSU fans came to Atlanta to support this team, which is sad, but LSU is fighting like tigers right now.
Timeout, Tubby Smith. 2:35 to play and 26 remaining on the shot clock. Nissan is in a drive to sell 1 million vehicles, so you can get great offers on new 2005 Nissan. See your Nissan dealer now. It's Nissan's drive to 1 million sales event going on now through March 31st. Well, you know that Kalena Azubuike has made just about every big shot when you've been challenged by LSU. And Sparks just made a big one a moment ago. My guess is that's got to be the concentration of John Brady's team going into this sequence defensively.
Well, Kentucky has always, through the years, had a guy that stepped up and made big plays like Keith Bogans a couple of years ago. And today, Kalena Azubuike.
Sparks again for 3. Minor for 3. Off the back iron. And again, questionable judgment that time.
Well, he's one of those kids, Tim. He's so talented. You just got to make a decision to let him play sometimes. If he makes that shot, he's a hero.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. It was a 1-on-4.
Yes, it was. I couldn't agree more. The shot selection was very questionable at best.
Azubuike takes it to the rack. And Antonio Hudson picks up the foul. 1:59 remaining. We'll return after these messages from your SEC stations.
The world's pepperoni expert.
Kentucky looking for its 1901st all-time victory.
They've got a pretty good program there.
Yeah, I'd say so. They
at the University of Kentucky.
17-2 overall in the Georgia Dome. And against a game group from Baton Rouge, they're getting all they want and then some in this second semifinal game. Tim Brando, Joe Dean Jr., Dave Baker, our host Dave Neal, and Barry Booker working by his side this afternoon in our second semifinal. Helena Azubuike at the free throw line, 74% of the season. Cats have not gotten there that often today. LSU's played very well defensively.
Kentucky still not in the bonus. LSU with only 5 team fouls.
Again, that's the thing I believe John Brady's got to take away from this game, regardless of whether they win or lose. It's probably been the most complete defensive game he's gotten. LSU struggled as a defensive basketball team this year.
They did. That's the one improvement they made as the season went on, was their defense to go with a faster, high-octane offense, which John Brady developed from the start of the season.
Pass. Working on Hayes. Takes it straight up.
Force.
Yep. Out of bounds to LSU.
LSU got lucky there. That was a forced shot. Great defense right there by Chuck Hayes against Bass. Couldn't come down with the rebound. 52 defense will be the zone.
Hudson off the back iron. Sparks the rebound, and on the run out, an easy one for Moss. The floor was not balanced for the Tigers.
No excuse for that.
Minor leaves it for Mitchell on the wing. He drained one right at the right time. 69-65. That keeps the Tiger pulse pumping with 1:19 remaining.
LSU out of the timeout. You see, did not get back and protect the basket. Nice job by Sparks on the run out to Ravi Moss. See, Mitchell's right there, should be back. Also Tack Minor. Antonio Hudson took the shot, and the run out by Ravi Moss for the dunk.
And the Kentucky faithful and the replacements that came in and ignited the Wildcats. Crawford in the middle of that group had 9 of their points. When they came in, they were 5 down. When they left, they were 3 ahead, and they've really not relinquished the lead. LSU has gotten close, but that was the turning point in the second half of this
there's
game.
no question. LSU led by 5 at that point, and when Tubby Smith put that group in, they brought a lot of energy. Joe Crawford probably should be the MVP of this game for what he did during that stretch.
LSU goes full court with zone pressure.
Won't foul right here, Tim. Still enough time to get a stop, come down and cut the lead to 1 or 2 if they can get the stop here. Obviously, critical possession for the LSU defense.
Shot clock at 10. Sparks is fouled, and that's not what Mitchell needed to do. Well, John Brady can't believe it. The young man made a horrible mistake.
They should have backed off right there. The shot clock was running down. You've got to know time and score, and if he backs off, he knows Sparks is going to try to take him on the dribble.
Well, you've got to understand time and order of sequence. And Mitchell didn't there. They get a break with the missed free throw.
Well, Mitchell knew what he was doing. Foul Sparks and have him miss it.
Hudson with the ball fake. Leaves it for Minor for 3. Hudson the rebound. Finds Mitchell. He'll shoot from downtown. There's an answer.
We got a ball game, Timmy.
69-68. Do you think Mitchell knew after that foul that his coach didn't want? With 10 on the shot clock, he needed to make a play.
Well, that's where John Brady needs to go over to him and hug him. Hug Daryl Mitchell for the big three to cut it to 1 in the semifinal. Nice ball fake, gets Patrick Sparks off his feet. And the young man, Daryl Mitchell, out of St. Martinsville, Louisiana, Timmy, plays a little string music for the LSU Tigers.
Last 2 buckets have been trays for LSU. And let's go over to Dave Buzz Baker.
Tim, you talked about that Kentucky Achilles heel, a situation right now where they've got to handle the basketball, and because he is so poor on free throw shooting, you notice Rajon Rondo's on the bench when he's the guy that is best served to break a press that's going to be coming.
Yeah, that's a great point by Dave Baker. Last night, Tennessee fouled Rondo late in the game. He missed. Tubby Smith quickly took him out and got Ramel Bradley into the ball game. Full court pressure by LSU. LSU will foul here if they don't get a steal on the throw-in. That's a guy foul right there.
They do right away.
Yeah, they knew he was the guy. I'm surprised Kentucky threw the ball into him. I really am. And as soon as he caught it, Glenn Davis and Hudson just sprinted to him to get him. Their eyes, they say, this is the guy our coach wants to foul.
Well, look, this just into Kentucky fans. He's 300 pounds. He had a sense of urgency.
Yep.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. That's a smart play. You've got to foul the guy that shoots 60% at the line.
No question. Again, I'm really surprised Kentucky threw the ball into him.
Well, I think the point Dave Baker made is accurate. When you don't have Rondo to break the press, maybe you have to think of some alternatives and getting the ball up the floor. LSU's got the crack that they wanted. 2.5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
There's their man.
Pass over Hayes. Davis trying to stay with it, out of bounds. It belongs to LSU.
Sparks was trying to call timeout there, but Tom Lopes, the official, was right on the play. He had already stepped out of bounds. Ravi Moss got hurt on that play.
Yeah, he's favoring his ankle.
Yeah, great defense by Morris. Davis can't get the rebound. Watch Sparks. Yeah, he couldn't get the timeout before he landed.
It was a good call. So the Tigers take a timeout with 17 on the shot, 18.9 remaining in the game. And that's the last timeout they have available.
Yeah, and LSU needs to understand that, because on the throw-in right now, Kentucky will know that. They will be pressuring. You've got to, number one, get the ball in bounds, and then you take the first available shot you can. You're behind. You don't wait to the end.
Remember where the ball comes in and how huge that is. Where you trigger in this inbounds pass, that usually has something to do with who takes the shot.
Now, Kim, my question right here is, why is the shot clock not reset? Did not Sparks have possession of that ball before he went out of bounds?
No, I don't believe technically he did.
Okay.
No. But I think the ruling was the ball is out of bounds. He didn't get the timeout in time. Therefore, there was never a clear possession.
It's not really a factor either way, but I was just curious. Got to get it in. No timeouts here.
This is your game. Can the party crashers from LSU get it done? Bass. The iron unkind. Run down by LSU's Mitchell. He takes it to the rack. Davis loses it. Tie ball. 7.2 remaining. Bass is in disbelief.
Bass had a great look at it. Couldn't get it to go. Mitchell hustled to run it down and then just kind of lost composure right there. Should have tried to kick it out. But again, they have fouled the right guy in Randolph Morris. And even, Tim, if he makes both foul shots, LSU can still tie the game. There's the great look by the All-SEC Player of the Year, Mitchell right here. Now, Mitchell loses composure here. He should have kicked the ball out. Didn't have anything. Got off his feet. And you jump in the air, you better know what you're going to do.
I think the bigger key here for John Brady is letting his team know, as disappointed as they are, you've still got a shot.
Oh, absolutely.
No timeouts remaining, though. It's going to be a one-possession game regardless. Randolph Morris, freshman from Atlanta, Georgia. 3-time state champion in this town.
Get it to Tag Miner. Let him push it.
Bass is going to take it the distance. Now he gives it. Well, he won't give it up. He was going to take it. Oh, it goes in!
Was it a 3? It's a 2.
A 2.
We got overtime.
We're tied. How about that? He absolutely was going to take that shot.
They're going to look at it. Well, I don't think they are. They're all convinced it was a 2, all the officials.
Oh, a crier off the front iron, the back, and finally dropping through to give LSU an opportunity for Upset City against the fans and Bluegrass Nation that have come to own this conference tournament.
Definitely inside the arc. The iron kind, Timmy B, for Brandon Bass. Don't you love a guy who wants the ball in his hands at the end?
Almost palmed it on the dribble just before the shot, but he just willed that one through the hoop.
Under heavy pressure by Chuck Hayes, no less.
Bass, 14 points this half on 5 of 12 shooting. Let's go to Dave Baker. Dave?
Great job of officiating, Tim, by Tony Green and Pat Adams. They had it triangulated. They both immediately said it was a 2. And now that you're back out of the last-second foul situation, Tubby Smith has gone to his bench. Rondo will be coming back in.
You know, Dave, I really thought that Bass was going to give it up to Miner, as you mentioned. But he just said, you know what, this is my team.
Right.
I'm the player of the year. It's my turn to take over.
Yeah,
that's amazing to see, because you could see in the second half, he knew from an offensive standpoint he had to step up.
Yeah, and he's done that. And again, I would have thrown it to Miner, let his speed get it down the floor to create the shot. But Brandon probably knows Tack a little bit and probably said, Tack's going to throw up something. If we're going to get into overtime and win the game, I'm going to shoot the basketball.
You know, the coaches govern the college game. I don't think there's any question about that. It's what makes college basketball a lot of fun. But ultimately, these players, it's their dream.
Yep.
It's what they're going for. And ultimately, with time winding down and no timeouts, there's little John Brady can do except hope for his all-conference player to get the job done, and he did.
No question about it. And back in early January, Tim, this LSU team was 6-5 overall, 0-1 in the SEC, and won now 14 of their last 17 to get to this point. And they're the overtime records you see. LSU 2-1 this year. This is the first one for the Big Blue.
And the happiest coach in America right now is Billy Donovan. You guys go ahead and play forever. We'll be waiting for you tomorrow. Second semifinal game here in the SEC tournament, and it has been the best. Davis going reversal. The big fella stays with it and gets the first deuce. LSU last led 38-37 at the 17-16 mark of this game.
Good job of hedging there by Glenn Davis. He got burned on that off-ball screen earlier in the second half when Sparks made the big 3. LSU getting through the screens better.
Morris working over the big baby. Out of bounds, last touched by Kentucky. Sheree Thomas.
Well, Hayes is not in the game. Brandon Bass blocked out Sheree Thomas nicely. And LSU, as we've talked, has won the rebounding battle so far in this game, and that's why they lead in overtime.
43-30, Joe.
Yep, there you go.
And Morris has 4, Hayes has 4, so that's another advantage that LSU has against that Kentucky front line. Miner. Rebound to Sheree Thomas. Rajon Rondo operating at the point. Finds an open lane. Pass rejects him. Taken away by Miner. He's got Mitchell on the run out. LSU with their largest lead.
Well, Rondo goes inside. He's the point guard. And we talked about the rotation back. Sparks did not do it. Mitchell smartly released and got the easy basket. Kentucky looks a little bit tired here, Tim.
Off the ball, a foul spotted.
Attack Miner on the push here, but the defensive rotation by Kentucky broke down. Mitchell smartly released out to get the easy layup. LSU fouled away from the ball. Not a smart foul for the Tigers.
Hudson picking up his second. He is the one Tiger that has played a lot of minutes today. Antonio Hudson has been absolutely a breath of fresh air for John Brady, because he's not really turned away from him that often. He needed him early just to stay in the game.
I don't think he's been out of the game, Tim. I know he played all 20 minutes in the first half.
All 40 minutes.
There you go.
I mean, there's a lot left in his tank. And again, seniors don't want to play their last game, especially in this building where he's been shooting at almost a 60% clip from downtown. 74-71. LSU did lead by 5 briefly before Kentucky took the lead when the mass substitution occurred. But other than that, this is their largest lead in the overtime. Minor leads it for Bass.
Hayes with 4 fouls. There's Ray Thomas on him.
Hudson with 10 to shoot. Gives it up to Mitchell. Hudson trying to get it back, and there's Hayes in the frame with the pilfer. Ray Thomas working on Bass. Pass rejects him. Hudson the run out to Minor. And a major lead of 5 for the Tigers. 76-71.
Kentucky trying to go inside to Ray Thomas, who hasn't played much in this ball game. But Brandon Bass, the All-SEC and the Player of the Year, with the tremendous block to lead to the run-out layup for LSU.
Kentucky wants a title. They want a #1 seed. But the Bayou Bengals are denying on defense and streaking on offense.
By Bell South. By Evinrude. By Safe Auto Insurance. By Alabama Tourism. And by Infinity.
(76-71). LSU with a 5-point lead, equaling their largest of the afternoon. Joe, give me your thoughts on what John Brady may do defensively here.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't come back in a zone. The zone defense with a 5-point lead does 3 things for you. Helps you stop penetration, jam the low post, and it eliminates fouls. He's going to stay with his man-to-man. I guess he feels like that's his bread-and-butter defense, which is smart.
You see the field goal story in overtime. The Cats have yet to scratch. Tubby Smith, in 7 years, has won 5 of these. This is his 8th trip as a Buki, staying with it. Kentucky will get a 3rd try. Not there. Crawford and company. Finally Bass, and there's a foul spotted against Brandon Bass.
I tell you what, Antonio Hudson on the first Azubuike shot had the ball in his hands. That's why John Brady can't believe it. And Azubuike took it right away from him. I think we're going to miss that. This is the 2nd shot. And the tip, just playing volleyball there. But on the very first shot, Antonio Hudson had that rebound, and Azubuike just physically took it away from him.
Kentucky has made 2, Joe, 2 of their last 6 free throws. That is a big one that they really needed. Rajon Rondo at this time of the game has to become a spectator for just this reason.
Might be good, though, to have him in for defensive purposes here.
Hayes has collected 6 out of 6 on his own. 1 possession game. 2 minutes left in overtime. I think you can send a message to someone in Baton Rouge that they can play pretty good basketball at LSU. They have played their hearts out today, and that's a foul on Morris, his 5th.
LSU ran a little weave play out front, Tim, and Morris just went to sleep watching it. Yep. And when Mitchell came around the corner, Glenn Davis was standing wide open on the block for the easy feed and drawing the foul. Davis needs to make these foul shots for LSU, has struggled at the line.
He leaves the game with just 4 points today. Let's go down to Dave Baker.
You know, Tim, it's normally Kentucky that does the little things, but in the second half, some numbers for LSU. The Tigers have only turned it over 3 times in the second half, and before that last possession, they had gotten up 15 more shot attempts than the Wildcats, getting it to the rim and putting themselves in this position.
They have the size, Dave. They have the size and the girth to battle with Kentucky's bigs, and I think that's the difference for John's team versus others in the SEC.
Absolutely, and what a great point there by Dave Baker, because LSU's problem in the first half were those 11 turnovers, and they've been able to cut that down with better offensive execution.
Davis and Bass, the star of the game that got it into overtime, each have double-doubles for John Brady's team.
This is the possession of the game right now for Kentucky. 5 down. If they do not score here, LSU can go to their delay.
Sparks. A 3. And the young transfer from Western Kentucky breathes life into the Big Blue faithful. He's 5 of 8 from downtown.
That was huge right there for the Kentucky Wildcats. Patrick Sparks.
Champions don't go down easily. Kentucky got their 43rd in their illustrious history in the regular season. Round for their 26th in SEC tournament play. They have 25 of them coming into today's game. Hudson off the bounce. Off the front rim, the long rebound to Minor. And now John Brady signals, let's spread it out. Minor goes very deep. Loose ball. He's out of bounds. Kentucky had it, but Crawford's back was on the sideline. And again, John Brady gets a break as Minor made a mistake.
Yeah, 48.7 seconds there. They got a new shot clock. They did put a new reset the shot clock so LSU could run this down to 13 seconds on the game clock before they have to shoot the basketball. Remember, both teams are in the double bonus. LSU will spread the floor and try to drive the ball at the basket to create maybe a foul or a layup opportunity.
Timeout taken by Kentucky with 48.7 remaining.
Yeah, Sparks just tipped the ball away, and then Hayes alertly reached in to knock it away. Great job by Glenn Davis diving on the floor. That saved it right there for LSU. What a great hustle play by Big Baby.
Get the deflections, create some turnovers. But overall, again, give a lot of credit to Minor for hanging in, making the kind of plays at difficult times in the game, and LSU's front line really bailing out the mistakes whenever they occur.
Exactly. And Tag Minor is just, again, one of those guys, Tim, you've got to account for him. He's so quick. You know, if you're the LSU coaching staff, he makes you nervous.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're the opposing coach, he makes you nervous.
9 points and 3 assists for him.
Remember, LSU, do they have a timeout here in the overtime?
Yes, they do.
All right, they do have one. Yes. All right, to get an added timeout, because getting the ball in bounds is never easy against the Kentucky defense.
You get a little excited during these OTs.
Well, there's nothing better than this, Tim. What a great day in the SEC.
You would like to make me your assistant. I'm supposed to be assigned to keep up with timeouts.
This is correct. You handle timeouts. I'm the head coach here.
Minor delivers it to Mitchell.
Smart play by Mitchell.
Dump down to Davis. He's doubled and fouled by Sparks on the reach.
I tell you, Sparks is crafty. I love the way he helps out defensively down in the post. Looked like he might have got a good strip. That's what Tubby Smith was hoping for. But the officials called to reach it. When you reach in defensively, most of the time it looks like a foul, and the official's going to blow the whistle.
By the way, if you were wondering, the last time LSU won a Southeastern Conference tournament championship, it was 1980.
And they beat that day the Kentucky Wildcats.
After Kyle Macy had beat Dale Brown's team by 1 on the final day of the regular season, Dwayne Astronaut Scales had the big tournament, was the MVP.
That's right.
Sam Bowie, of course, one of the legends of this conference, looks on. Davis missed them both. Bass trying to keep it alive. Kentucky can shoot for the win or the tie right here. Only a 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Azubuike strong to the hole, and he's fouled.
Great move by Azubuike. He knows he can take Antonio Hudson, who's not a great defender. He knows he can take him on the dribble all day. And so they just flattened the baseline, cleared out the lane, and let him go one-on-one. Smart play by Tubby Smith right there. Put the ball in the hands of your best player and let him go against what many feel a suspect defensive player in Hudson.
4 fouls on Antonio. You look at the free throw story, beginning to balance out.
LSU will have the ball, Tim, right here, assuming Azubuike makes, with a chance to win the game. They will take the last shot in that situation if the score is tied.
Only gets 1 of 2. Loose ball. Claimed by Kentucky. Hayes got out of there with it. And now the Big Blue can win it. They call a timeout. Oh, block out. How often do you hear it? The good news for Kentucky on the miss, it was a high rebound, allowing Hayes an opportunity to get a hand on it.
Well, Hayes hasn't been able to get to the offensive boards much today. Credit Glenn Davis and that Brandon Bass, but he got the big one when it counted right here. But Bass actually tipped that ball up. Hayes has always got a nose for the ball, and biggest rebound of the day for Kentucky. See, Bass tipped that ball out. Davis couldn't get it, and Hayes smartly kicks it out to Sparks. Tubby Smith there calls the timeout.
If you're Kentucky, Joe, the way this game has gone, the last thing that you really want, correct, is to have anyone other than Sparks or Azubuike with the ball with the game on the line?
You know, I tell you, Tim, and John Brady will probably stay man-to-man, and I'm just doing a little coaching here over on the table.
I'm the assistant. You're the head guy.
I would think about a zone for this reason, because I don't think Hudson can guard Azubuike. The zone would shut that down a little bit. Yes, it might open up an outside shot, but there's pressure on the white team right here, Kentucky. I'd rather give them the outside shot than a drive to the goal or an inside play where you may foul.
Dave, your thoughts?
Tim, it's kind of that whole deja vu all over again for Kentucky. Just 6 days ago, they're at Florida. Similar situation, down 1, 12 seconds left, almost the same inbounds from the same spot on the court. They can't get a good shot, and they have to settle for an Azubuike 3. But Rondo, the penetrator, back in for the Cats.
Rondo will operate at the point.
Let's watch and see if they try to get it to Azubuike here. Here he comes. This is it.
The dump down is to Hayes, working over Davis. Yes! 7.9 left. Minor takes it the distance. A sprint for the finish for Tack Minor. Not there. It's over. Kentucky continues the SEC tournament party. Kentucky closes it out on a 6-0 run after falling behind by 5 in overtime, and your team captain makes the biggest play.
And the block at the end. Chuck Hayes, the senior, took it around the freshman Davis, blocked, Minor shot at the end, and then got the big rebound to win the game for Kentucky.
The Modesto monster from California does it again. Let's go over to Dave Baker.
All right, Chuck, take us through the play. Almost the same situation against Florida. You couldn't get a good shot, but you got one here.
It was the exact same play. Coach told me he's coming to me. You know, you got to love it. I've been struggling the whole game. Coach put the ball in my hand, and I came through. I got to think, I'm so excited right now. I can't talk. I can't talk.
What was it like for you? Crunch time, you're not on the court, and then you get this chance.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is what it's all about. Your teammates are down. Y'all come together. You got your fans. This is what it's all about right now.
All right, Chuck. Hey, Patrick, similar situation last week against Florida. You couldn't get the good shot. You got called for the reach-in. Take us through the final few seconds today.
We ran the exact same play, and we executed it tonight, and it worked to perfection. It was great.
All right, Patrick, congratulations. Thanks. Patrick Sparks and Chuck Hayes. They're excited in Lexington, Timmy B.
No question about it. And the happiest people are the vendors at the Georgia Dome. They'll sell a few more popcorns and cooler hot pops since Kentucky's staying in town.